Alright, hello everyone, I'm back with another cleaning and restoring. I'm doing a PS1 controller, which I guess makes sense, because I did the PS1, an Xbox controller, and Xbox, so we might as well do a PS1 controller. Also, this one's really dirty in the D-pad. If you can hear it, it's like disgustingly sticky. So, I'm going to be taking this apart because I have a good controller just in case this one for some reason doesn't work. So, I'm assuming, yeah, these are Phillips head screws, and there's 8 screw holes, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So you gotta do what's the most entertaining thing ever, which is taking out screws. And they already don't seem like they want to come out, which is always a good sign. Make sure you don't lose the little screws. I do that all the time. Actually, executive decision. I'm going to take out the screws off video just to save time. Alright, so I've taken all 4 screws out. I had trouble getting this one out of the hole. Yeah. What did I say?
4.
Well, I got all 8 screws out. Sorry, I said 4 apparently. So now we're just going to break it apart, which is always the most entertaining part, because usually things have been used to being stuck together, so when you take them apart, they're like cracking and breaking, and you're just terrified. Alright, so once you've taken it apart, this looks pretty simple actually. Basically, all controllers have a wire wound up inside like this. You're going to take that out first, or unwind it basically. You never want to lift by the wires, and I'm trying to see how this comes out. Okay, so there's these little gray pieces over here, and you can see there's 2 little knobs right here. You kind of have to pinch them together to get the gray piece off. I'm not sure if you actually... Yeah, you do need to take this off. I'm not going to be able to pinch it with my fingers, so I'm going to have to get like pliers or something to get those off. So we'll start with the bottom half of the controller, where you have the R2 and L2. There's 2 tiny little brass screws in here that you're going to want to take out. This isn't actually necessary because you could just wash the whole piece as it is. I got the other screw out. Due to the fact that there's no electronics in the bottom half of the controller. You don't have to take these apart, but I'm just doing it just to show you the options here. Cole's looking at the other half of the controller while I do this. Alright, so after you get those out, I'm pretty sure they'll just come out basically. Yep, you just turn it over and these 2 little clips will come off. And you can press the buttons out, and they'll just fall out on their own pretty much. Alright, so that's the bottom half of the controller, so now we gotta move on to the top half. So I'm actually gonna get like, let's just see here. I do have to take these little gray clips off.
Use your thumb and the screwdriver and just pinch them together, and then touch it, and try and just push it out.
Alright, well that seems like, I'm just gonna go get a pair of pliers just to make my life easier, so I'll be right back. Okay, so I've slid each of the little gray clips out. I didn't actually move these because they wouldn't seem to move too far. So now we're just going to take the entire brain out, basically. If I can get this. This is going to be a weird thing to pull out because there's nowhere to grip it by. Alright. And here you go. And then you can set this aside because nothing here is going to be washable with water, obviously. If you wanted to get like aerosol in a can or something, or air in a can, you could clean it easier. You won't look at that. Alright, so then it comes apart in pieces that look like this, and you can take the rubbers off. And the buttons don't seem to come out. So I'm just going to leave them in because this whole thing is actually washable. Here's the other one. The rubber actually fell out of this one. Alright, so then you're left with this, and this is pretty simple to take apart. And if you've ever taken apart a controller, all you do is, you take the rubbers out. These are the start and pause buttons, start and back buttons. Take the rubber off, and then get the buttons out. It's pretty easy. And one thing you will notice is that there's this little like XP shape under the D-pad. I'll show you how that goes back together whenever I actually put this thing back together. So for right now, I'm going to clean all the plastic parts, which is everything except this wiry piece is cleanable with water, obviously, and you can scrub each piece down if it's really dirty. I'm going to try and get the D-pad clean because mine was really sticky. So, yeah, I'll be back after I clean everything and everything dries to put everything back together. Alright, everything has been cleaned and dry as much as possible. This dried actually overnight because it took so long for the water that's in here to dry. Just because all the small, like, little areas that water can get caught in. So, we're going to start with the bottom half of the controller. And you're going to take either L1 or R1, which are the bottom two bumpers that look like this. You're going to take the little rectangular rubber and put it back into place on there like that. And then I'm not sure if it matters which one goes where. Actually, I really don't know if it matters which one goes where. But you're going to take those and put the rubbers back in. And you're going to take each number 2 piece and drop them back into place down in this area of the bottom half of the controller. It'll take a bit of persuasion to get it in the right spot. Make sure you don't put it in upside down either. Because I don't think these have like a big distinction on whether or not you're putting it upside down. Alright, so after you put the 2 little bumpers down in there, you can take these little plastic pieces and screw them back into place. They went right over top of the bumpers. And then you take the 2 little brass screws and you screw that back into place. Again, a magnetic screwdriver is the best way to go for something like this. If your screwdriver is not magnetic, that's what, whoops, this is what it should look like after you've put it in. And if your screwdriver is not magnetic, I really suggest investing in one because they're not expensive, just as much as a regular screwdriver. And they're so much more helpful, especially if you do this a lot like I do. Alright. So after you put those into place, we're going to switch to the other half of the controller. If you recall, this is all that went to this part of the controller. Was those little parts right there. Alright, so after you got the 2 bumpers screwed in place on the bottom half, put that aside. Basically, for this half of the controller, all you're going to do is put everything back together. So the D-pad gets dropped in, but I'm not sure if it goes a specific way. I don't think it goes in a specific way. This thing, if you're wondering, it has little points that stick up. The points stick towards the inside of the controller, not towards the D-pad. So it goes and just kind of sits on top like that. And it's kind of a pain to get lined up. Then you can take the start and the back buttons, put those into place. Right, then you can drop the square, triangle, X and Y buttons into place. I'm not actually sure what order they go in, but they do make little slots so that you can only put 1 button in each spot, and it'll actually fall into place, which is really convenient because I would never know where these go because I never play PS anything. Alright, so it goes X on the bottom, triangle on the top, circle goes, if you're looking at it this way, it lines up like this, and then the, I don't know which shape this even is, honestly.
No.
Then the triangle goes over there. So it should look like this once you're done. I knew that was going to happen. So if you did what I did and you knocked the D-pad out, put that back into place with the little thingamajig on the side. I don't know what that is. We'll put the rubbers back on. There's the D-pad rubber. We'll do the button rubber first. The button rubber actually does kind of like shove into place, basically. and it goes around the two little prongs between all the buttons to stay in place while you're putting the two halves back together. The D-pad one, on the other hand, I'm not exactly sure how it goes. I know this goes with the D-pad, but I'm not sure how this little piece goes. I think it might go actually under the D-pad, which would make a little more sense actually. Alright, so after you got the rubber put into place, I think this goes over top maybe. So it should look like this. Once you finish that, then you're going to put these back into place here. So I'm not sure what side this goes on or if it matters. You got to line it up perfectly. It does kind of have little slats to line it up perfectly. Then you take the brain basically, and you drop it into place. The rubber fell off on my bumpers. I think it might be easier. Whoops. I think it might be easier if you snap these things into place first, the way they go in. Alright, I got one in. Yeah, you definitely have to snap these in before you try to put the rest back together here. Alright, I'm going to try and snap this one back into place off camera. Alright, so once you've gotten that back into place, it actually was easier if you took these out completely and then snapped this piece on and then put it back in to place. Alright, so now you're going to rewind the cable how it was, just like all controllers have. Then you're going to take the other half and carefully put it back in. Make sure everything fits nice together. And get your 8 black screws and put them all back into place. There's actually no particular order you're supposed to put screws back into place. But one of the best ways I found is to do the top ones, like the ones I'm doing, up top, and then the bottom. There's usually 2 on each handle, and then the ones in the middle, do the ones in the middle last. So you can get all the edges to grip together and make sure it's going to stay together. Screws are a good time. Screws are a good time. I just dropped the plug for the controller. You can go ahead and skip ahead in the video if you want to wait till the end. Although I know this is probably the best part of the video right here. So now we gotta put in the 2 middle screws, then we'll be done. Alright, that is pretty much it for the Sony PS1 controller. After I get this last screw in, I'll show you. Alright, everything is back to normal. It looks like it's in good shape. The D-pad works, both buttons work, all the shapes and the bumpers work. So, that's pretty much it. So, if you liked it, thank you for watching, and please leave a like or subscribe.